This is level K, list 13, and we're doing the day 1 page, and here we're looking at the DGE, so let's colour that in with one colour, DGE, DGE, and then we need to change colours down the bottom because we're going to the just GE. So how do you know whether to use DGE or GE at the end of a word? If you have a short vowel sound, you're going to put DGE, and if you have a long vowel sound, you're just going to put the GE. Now, so let's go through with two different colours and mark that in as well. So we've got a short vowel, DGE, short vowel, so the vowel is it. They're all short vowel sounds. And here we've got R. Any R controlled vowel, that is a vowel with an R, is going to make a long vowel sound. So we've got AR here, R and R. Now the reason we put GE at the end of a word is because English words may never ever end with a J. So to get the J sound, we're using the soft sound for G, which is J. So it's making, let's get another colour. And we'll just highlight in and write in that GE is making a J sound at the end of all of those words. So it's making its soft sound, J. That's why we have to use GE at the end of a word, because English words cannot end with J, ever. And that's where we commonly see this GE being used, is at the end of a word. It can appear at the start of a word, but more commonly we see it at the end of a word. Okay, so let's have a look. Is there anything else in that list that's tricky? No. So let's have a look at what these words mean. Edge is the outside limit to an area, and it could also mean that something's near the edge or on the very edge here of a steep drop. Hedge is where you have bushes in a line planted closely together, so it looks like one big long plant, and quite often we trim a hedge to keep it looking neat and tidy. A ledge is like a shelf on a building or on a mountain slope that you could stand on or put things on. So you might put something on a window ledge in your bedroom. It would be like a flat surface that comes out from a wall or something on a building. A badge is usually a piece of metal or plastic that you put on your clothing, perhaps to indicate who you are or what you do. So this is a police badge. A lot of people wear a name badge if other people need to know their name. A judge might be someone who makes a decision in a courtroom. If someone's done something wrong, they might decide whether they're guilty or innocent and how long they should go to jail for, or if they should go home. It can also be a judge in a competition, someone who decides who the winner is and makes a decision if someone has done something wrong during the competition. Nudge is like a gentle prod or push. You might nudge your friends when you're in the line. It's just very gentle prodding. A ridge is where two slopes meet, and it's usually a long, narrow edge in a mountain range, etc. A bridge is how you cross from one side of a river to the other. Something large would be something big like an elephant. The opposite to large would be small. And a barge is a boat that we use to transport goods or freight along a river or a canal. Usually has a very flat bottom, so that it doesn't matter if it's going along a very shallow river. It can carry a lot of goods on it from one place to another. Okay, let's read these words, sound them and spell them. So we've got edge, and don't forget your little bit of paper to cover the word with. So let's sound it. Edge, edge, edge. E-D-G-E, 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 E-D-G-E. So it is important with this set of words that you read them, sound them, spell them, write them and check them, because you've got to remember the J sound at the end of the word is GE in these words, and sometimes if it's short vowel it's going to be the DGE. K13, day 2, and we're looking at the DGE after a short vowel and the GE after a long vowel sound. So we've got edge, hedge, ledge, badge, judge, nudge, ridge, bridge, large, barge. So you can colour in the DGE one colour and the GE a different colour. Then choose another colour, another 2 colours, and we'll go through and we'll mark the long and the short vowel sounds. So these are the short vowel sounds: it, at, it. And these 2 are the long vowel sounds: ah. Now whenever you put a vowel with an R, it becomes an R controlled vowel, and they all make a long vowel sound. So A, R, E, R, I, R, O, R or U, R will all make a long vowel sound. So I've written it up here so you can remember: a short vowel you add DGE, a long vowel you add GE. Now let's read the words, say the words and spell them, and then write them in. So our first one is edge, edge, E-D-G-E. So cover it and write it. And then you can finish the rest of those on your own. Now write the list word to match the meaning. A piece of metal you wear with your name on it would be a badge. You can work out the rest of those. I think we've looked fairly closely at these meanings yesterday, but just quickly, an edge is where 2 pieces join and you have quite often a very defined edge to something. A hedge is where we have a row of bushes, and people quite often like to trim a hedge so it all remains the same height and width. A ledge is like a shelf on a building or a tower where you can put things. You can have a window ledge too, it's part of a building. And you can have a ledge on a mountain too that you might need to stand on. A badge, as we just read, is something that you can wear on your clothing to say where you're from or who you are. A judge is a person who makes a decision as to who is the winner, or in a courtroom it will be who is guilty or who is innocent. So quite important people. Nudge is to gently push forwards, or when you touch someone very gently, you nudge them. A ridge is where 2 slopes meet on a mountain. A bridge is how you get from one side of a river to the other side. Someone builds a bridge in between. Large is something huge, and a barge is a flat bottom boat that we use to carry cargo or bulky things along a river. So because rivers are quite shallow, often it has a flat bottom. So you've got those meanings coming through here. Fill in the gap with the missing list word. My friend thinks it is fun to something, me in the line. That would probably be nudge, so you have to write that in. You can work out the rest of them on your own. Write the list word to match the picture. So you've got some different pictures there that you have to label with the correct word. This is level K, list 13, and we're doing the day 3 page. And here we've got the DGE after a short vowel sound. So you can colour in the DGE one colour in these words: edge, hedge, ledge, badge, judge, nudge, ridge and bridge. And then here we've got a long vowel sound before the j sound. So we've got to just use GE, GE. So use a different colour for the GE on these 2. So let's choose a couple of highlighters. We're going to go back and highlight the short vowel sound. It, at, it. Then we're going to go back and highlight that long vowel sound. R. So any vowel with an R becomes an R-controlled vowel. So you could have A, R, E, R, I, R, O, R, U, R. And you know, every time you have a vowel with an R, it makes a long vowel sound. Okay, let's have a look if there's anything else in there that we need to look at. No, there's not. The only reason these words have an E after the G is because English words can't end in J. So we couldn't put a J at the end of those words for the J sound. So to make the G say the J sound, we have to put an E after it. So edge, we're going to sound it, edge, E-D-G-E, cover it and write it, and then check to make sure you've got it right. And let's go down and do one with the long vowel sound. Large, L-A-R-G, L-A-R-G-E, and cover, write and check. And you can do the rest of those on your own once we've been through this page. So plural. So we know these words here are all nouns because we can have them in a singular or a plural form. Usually when we make a word into a plural, we add S or ES. So if you listen here, we have an edge, two edges. Now because the E is already there, we just need to add the S. But you can hear it making its is sound. Edge is, and we know whenever we hear is at the end of a word, we're going to write es, but it's already naturally formed itself because the E was already there. So hedges, ledges, badges, barges, bridges. So these words, you know, because we can make them into a plural form, are all nouns. So judge is a little bit different. It's an irregular noun, because we're not going to have that pattern of adding the S or the ES to make it mean more than one. You can have one judge, and we call more than one judge a panel or a bench. You could say judges, but more commonly we call them a panel or a bench. So add to the list word and write a sentence to show its meaning. So enlarge, and you'd have to put a sentence about that. Badger, and you'd have to put a sentence about that. Now comparatives and superlatives, when we compare two things, we want to make it say more. So we wouldn't say, oh, that's more large. We would say that's larger. Now once again, if the E is already there, you only have to add the R. So larger. If we have a bigger group of things, and you want to say it's the most large, you wouldn't say most large, that would sound a bit funny. You would say it's the largest. And to make it say largest, we'd have to add EST. We always add EST to the end to indicate the superlative. It's never an I. I've seen quite often people put an I there, but it's always EST to indicate the most of something. So largest, we've already got the E there, so that means we only have to add the ST. Down the bottom here we've got verb families. You know, in the first column you're adding the S, in the next one you're adding the ing, and in the final one you're adding the ED. So we'd have edge, edges. Now you're hearing that is again, but you know you only have to add the S because the E is already there to make that is sound. Edging, you also know E goes away, so take away the E before you add the ing. E goes away when ing comes to stay, so you'd have that with judge and bridge as well, so they all end with an E. Now, when you put the ED on the end, if there's already an E there, of course, that means you're only going to have to add the D. Edged, judged, bridged. So you're not going to have two E's, of course, at the end of those words. Proofreading, this is nice and easy. You just have to tick which word is correct and write it on the end. Same with large. Which word for large is spelled correctly? Tick it and then write it at the end. This is level K, list 13, and we're doing the day 4. we've got some proofreading and some punctuation that we're going to do. So fill in the gaps with a saying verb, add speech marks and other punctuation and rewrite. So let's go. So you will remember that we use speech marks, a 66, which is like a tail with a dot at the bottom, before someone starts speaking, and we do the 99 when they finish speaking, and all the punctuation should be inside the 66 and the 99, the speech marks. Make sure that whenever anyone starts speaking, you always start that part with a capital letter. And at the end, you're going to, or you could put it at the start, you're going to put your saying verb and then who has been speaking before the full stop. Same applies if it's at the start of a sentence, you'd have the person's name and the saying verb and then what they've said. So let's have a look here. Our saying verbs on this page are replied, yelled, warned, shouted, gasped, called, said, hollered and cried. So what you want to do is to choose the best word for each of these parts of the conversation. And we're trying to encourage you to use other words other than said in this. We've only used said once. We could have used it every time, but that would be a bit boring. So by using other words other than said, it makes our story more interesting. The sailor something. Stop the tugboat. The sailor, you could have warned, yelled, shouted. There'd be a whole lot of words. Let's put yelled. Now, the sailor yelled, stop the tugboat. So we've got to put the 66 and the 99. So we're putting the speech marks on the other side of the full stop. I'm going to have a little comma here. The sailor yelled, stop the tugboat. You can work out which ones fit best all the way through here. The last one is the captain smiled and something. Thanks, men. That was great work. We wouldn't say hollered there. We'd say, or cried. We'd just have replied or something with less impact. So you can rewrite that down here once you've filled in all the punctuation and the saying verbs.